What was the asking price on this?
So it's on the market at the minute for 2,000, sorry.
Yeah, she knows that. She knows that it's overpriced.
Yeah.
It's a massive space though.
It is. You might just be shocked for how much £2,500 gets you. Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. It's me, Ifeyinwa. If this is your first time here, then it's me, Ifeyinwa. I'm finally filming my London apartment hunting video. I've literally seen well over 20 at this point. Yes, it is insane. I have a lot to get through. I'm going to be sharing with you guys my list of must-haves, every single thing that I've learned, my budget, prices. Let's just jump right into it because I know that this video is going to be particularly long. Location, location, location. If you don't know about zones, essentially zone 1 is central London, and the further out you go, obviously the numbers of the zones increase. Ideally, I would have loved to be in zone 1, but the closer you are to central London, the more expensive it is. So I extended my search to zone 2. What was more important to me was being able to live somewhere that was central or easy to get to central from. So I wanted to be in a neighborhood that felt safe. Obviously, as a woman living alone, that was something that I really prioritized. I wanted to be in an area that was close to cafes and coffee shops and greenery and parks, but specifically I would say for me, I was looking for West London / Northwest London in zones 1 and 2. I also did look in Southwest London as well. Now we can go on to the actual apartment must-have. So these are the features that I was looking for in an apartment. I started off my search being open to a 1 to 2 bed flat, and then eventually I narrowed it down to a 2 bed, mainly because I just wanted to have more space to host. I wanted to have a separate office space. I also run a small business from my home, so I needed that extra space. Something that was really important to me was for wherever I lived to be at most a 15-minute walk from the station. 10 minutes and under was ideal. The apartment had to be bright and well lit. London is for the most part, a very gloomy city. It can be very gray, and it was really important to me to have really big windows just to feel really bright and airy because I didn't want to have seasonal depression. Second thing, I needed it to be secure. I've talked about this a lot on my vlogs. Security for me meant that I did not want to be on the ground floor or the lower ground floor. I actually have lived in a ground floor flat before when I was in uni, and we got broken into. Someone just crawled in through our window and it was petrifying. So ever since then, I've had this thing about ground floor flats just being a no-no. I also wanted it to have at least 2 doors, a communal door like to get into the building, and then a second door to get into my actual flat. I didn't want to have my main door be on a major road for security reasons. Wooden floors throughout the flat. I just can't get behind carpet unless it's like a brand new carpet, and even then I would rather have wooden flooring. It's just easier to clean. Light walls. I've seen so many flats have like bright blue walls or red walls. I didn't want any of that. I wanted a separate kitchen or an island. I actually really like open plan kitchens, but for me, I wanted there to be some sort of separation between the kitchen space and the living room space, and oftentimes you don't really get that unless there's some sort of island. So that's why I said an island, but my preference would actually be to have the kitchen be in a separate room entirely, mainly because I feel like when you're living in a flat, you can kind of sometimes feel like you're living in a box. So I really like the idea of just having that separation. And then I had written down a full-size fridge. For whatever reason, a lot of flats, especially if it's a 1 or a 2 bed flat, they'll often have these little dinky mini fridges, and it's not gonna work for me. Okay. I need a full-size fridge. I also put down that I wanted it to be unfurnished. A lot of flats here actually come furnished, so it's a little bit harder to find unfurnished flats. I really am excited about making my flat my home, and I really want to do it up and decorate it and pick out every single piece of furniture in it. Good storage. By good storage, I just meant somewhere that I could store things like clothes, pots and pans, cans, suitcases, Christmas trees. Bathroom storage is literally like impossible. Just having a place to store things, a washing machine, and then I wrote here a home that I can host in. I really wanted a place where I could see my family coming to visit, my friends coming over to host dinner parties, to have people stay over. I just wanted it to feel like a home. And then I put some nice to haves, period features. I really wanted to live somewhere that had some character. I wanted a place that has a bay window. That would be the dream. Sconces, paneling, ceiling roses, a fireplace, like all of those sorts of things to me would just like add character. The more flats I looked at, the more I realized that I was just leaning more towards those sorts of places as opposed to the new builds. Like there's a lot of good that comes with the new builds as well, don't get me wrong. Like I love the floor to ceiling windows that you get in new builds. I love that a lot of new builds come with amenities. Is it amenities or amenities? Let me know what you say and down below. For the most part, I just saw myself gravitating more towards the places that had period features. I wrote down parking. I don't have a car right now, but I like the idea of being able to have a car, an outdoor space, balcony, or a garden. The last time I had a balcony, it was terrorized by pigeons. I live in a home now that has a beautiful garden and it attracts all sorts of animals. I think I used to like romanticize the idea of having outdoor space now, and now I'm like, it's just another thing to keep up with, so maybe not. Anyway, last thing on my nice to have list is a dishwasher. So we've talked about location, we've talked about what I'm looking for, now let's talk about budget. So my original budget was £2,500 a month, and I wanted that to be inclusive of bills. So I knew that I would need about £200 to £300 a month for all of my bills, be that council tax, electricity, internet, blah, 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 blah. So I was kind of hoping that I could find somewhere for about $2,200 to $2,300 a month. However, whenever I would speak to an agent, I realized that there's actually a little bit of wiggle room with negotiating. Eventually, they started to show me places that were like $2,400, $2,500, even though that they knew that I didn't want to spend more than $2,200 to $2,300. Now we're gonna get to the house tours, and you might just be shocked for how much £2,500 gets you. So we're starting off strong with one of my favorite flats from my first day of viewing. We are in Queen's Park today, which is in Zone 2 of Northwest London. This was a raised ground floor flat. So I started looking when I didn't really know what that meant. So as you can see from the view out of the window, it's slightly higher than street level, but you're technically still on the ground floor in this flat. I really liked the living room. I think I was filming in 0.5 by the way, so it looks a little bit skewed, but I really liked the living room. I liked that the kitchen was tucked away in a little corner. It had a beautiful bay window. This was the hallway. It was a 2-bed flat on the market for £1,900 a month. The bedrooms had carpet, and the carpet was very dinky. It definitely needed the carpet to be replaced, but the bedrooms were a good size. There was no storage, and this was something that stood out to me right away. As you can see, the tenants had all of their clothes just sitting all over the place in the hallway because there was really no storage. It had a washer, and I think I was checking to see if it was a dryer, but it was just a washer, which again is fine. I prefer to air dry my clothes anyway. But yeah, the door was broken. The agent said that that would be fixed. Who knows? I really hated the bathroom. I hated the bathroom. I didn't know what was going on. It had this weird moldy black thing going on here that really freaked me out. There was something about the bathroom that just felt very, I wouldn't want to use that bathroom. And this was the second bedroom, which again, fine. It was a good size. It could fit a double bed. So 2 double beds in a 2-bed flat in London for under £2,000. It was amazing. This flat went to a bidding war. That pretty much was a wrap for me. Okay, so this apartment is in St. John's Wood, which I think is actually Zone 1. It was 2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom for $2,400 a month. I knew there had to be a catch with this property before I even got there, because I'm like, how can I get a 2-bed in my budget in St. John's Wood? And then when I got there, I found out it was an ex-council estate, and then it all started to make sense. So this was the kitchen. I thought the kitchen was a really good size. It actually led to a garden, which I'm surprised I didn't film. I'll try and like put that footage in here. But then this hallway had really good footage. The bathroom was a pretty decent size. Everything felt a little bit dated, but not dated in a, actually no, everything felt dated in a bad way. I was trying to be positive, but it was neutral. It was airy. It had wooden flooring throughout, but it did feel dated. And also this was a ground floor flat. I probably should have said that as well. It was a ground floor flat, but I loved this like coving. This detail here was so pretty to me, and I loved the wooden flooring. The main reason why I went to see it was because it was a 2-bed in St. John's Wood. Again, zone 1 in my budget, like that doesn't really come up very often. I already had a viewing in the area actually on this day, so that's why I decided to just come see it anyway, just to have a little wander. But it was a no, just by the virtue of being on the ground floor, to be honest. But a really decent flat, I would say. So this was a 2-bed 1-bath in West Kensington for $2,400. Actually, I think the closest station was Ladbroke Grove. Still zone 2. I love the kitchen. There was a little bit of like some stairs that led to a lower level, and that's where the kitchen was. And the kitchen was really nicely done. Okay, yeah, now we're in 0.5. So prior to this, it's been filmed in regular view. And again, I really enjoy having a view by the sink. Even if you're gonna wash dishes, you might as well look out the window while you do it. This was a newly refurbished flat. Like literally you could still smell the paint. So this right here is the lounge space. I don't think I filmed this in 0.5. I filmed this in the regular view. Anyway, this flat was tiny. There was no hallway. It was literally just the front door, and there's your bedroom. This room could not fit a double bed. It could only fit like maybe a single and a tiny desk or something like that. And I just really liked this flat, but it was super tiny. It felt really claustrophobic. This was the second bedroom, I believe. Again, it was just really, really small. I loved the color of the flooring though, but everything just felt really, really small and slightly claustrophobic. The bathroom was good. I really like this bathroom. I think one of the benefits of seeing a flat like right after it's been refurbished is that everything is still nice and new. I just really liked this flat, but it was super tiny. It felt really claustrophobic. Okay, so this was in West Kensington, a 2-bed, 1-bathroom garden flat for $2,500. I have to start off with the pictures of this flat, because when I saw the pictures of this garden, I said, you know what? I can work with this, even though it's on the ground floor. I just thought that this garden looked so beautiful in the pictures. And when I saw it in real life, I was a little underwhelmed, I'm not gonna lie. So this is the principal bedroom, and this bedroom leads to the garden. So the only way to get to the garden would be if people walk through your bedroom, which in itself just didn't make any sense to me. And then you can see how small the bedroom is. The tenant literally had his bed covering the wardrobe doors, because that was the only way for the configuration of the room to make sense. I already knew I was going to struggle. As you could see, a man was living in here before, and I just had way more clothes than him, so I already knew that it was going to be a struggle. The bathroom was fine. It was a decent size. It was clean. It looked like it had been well maintained. It had storage, but in all honesty, as soon as I saw that the garden, like I just feel like the garden should lead from the living room, not a bedroom, so that already put me off. It had decent storage in the hallway, decent storage on top. The agent was really helpful. He was trying to show me what I could fit at the top of the property. But this is one of those properties where the agents called me and they were like, oh, we have a new property on the market. It's amazing. It's going to go really quickly. Come see it now. And I think that's what happened. This was the living room, and I really liked the shelving on either side of the TV, but it was just so cramped. I mean, it was on the ground floor, lower ground floor, so having all the windows closed for privacy. This was the kitchen. The kitchen was minuscule, and the fact that this was $2,500 just felt like daylight robbery to me. And this also had a situation where the door led directly to the main street, so there were a lot of no's with it. This place was like $2,900 or something.
Yeah, but that one was definitely taken off of it. Yeah, she knows that. She knows that it's overpriced.
Yeah.
It's a massive space though.
It is. So I put this in as a reminder to all of my people watching this video to not let people waste your time. Be that estate agents, be that men, women. Don't let people waste your time. This was a situation where an agent called me. He's like, we have a brand new property. You have to come see it right now. And at this point, I had kind of peaked game. So I started telling them, is it on the ground floor? Like I started running through my list of things. And he assured me that this place was fully floored, no carpet, of course, as you guys have already seen, there's carpet in all the bedrooms. And when I walked in, I'm like, I thought you said that there was no carpet. So this was a complete waste of my time. This is a flat that I wanted to list because I got catfished. This was when I was still considering 1-bedroom flat. So I saw this flat. It was in a really exciting new build development where everything came furnished. It had a really nice gym, co-working areas. It was listed as being in Ladbroke Grove, and it was in Willesden Junction. If anyone knows about London, you'll know that that area automatically would not have been an area that I would have considered at all. Brand new, Smeg appliances, everything was finished to a really, really high standard, but the location was just an absolute no for me. And then I ended up seeing a 2-bed in the same building. So I think the 2-bed was $2,500 and the 1-bed was $2,200. Again, everything came furnished. Area was a no. And also, I think this was the only new build that I saw in my search. And this kind of let me know that I didn't want to live in a new build again. In addition to the fact that the area was just, there was nothing in the area. You would either have this as your view or a view of a cemetery. So it was an absolute no for me. But I wanted to share this because I speak more about my tips around how not to get catfished on locations towards the end of the video. So I thought that I would just show this to you guys really quickly. Hey you guys, we are in, I want to say Hyde Park corner. I'm heading towards Fulham because I have an apartment viewing. Don't know why I decided to walk because it's actually a very miserable day. It's wet, it's gray, but you know what? It's not cold. So I'm really trying to embrace London in all its seasons. But we're gonna go because I need to hurry up so I'm not late for my viewing. But yeah, this is what London looks like in the gray. Look at that. Not a busy crossing. This was a 2-bed in Fulham, which again is zone 2, but southwest London, and this was on the market for $2,400. So how I found this apartment, I actually had an agent call me out of the blue and said that they had this new property and a private estate in Fulham with a gym and a pool and a sauna, and I was just like, what is this place? It looks like it has not been updated since it was first built. It's really, really strange. It looks so grand and so impressive from the outside. And then the second you get into the actual buildings, you can just, yeah, it felt weird. But the flat itself was lovely. This was actually another favorite flat of mine. Again, filming in 0.5. So bear in mind that everything looks a little bit bigger than it really is. But again, this property had balconies. It was in a private estate. I just couldn't wrap my head around the asking price. The agent said that the landlord wouldn't take this shelving thing off, which I thought was a bit strange, but it was fine because this room I thought I could use as an office. So this is the 2nd bedroom, which again, just amazing. So there was a balcony outside the masters, and then it had this insane amount of clothes storage. Like, I don't think I'd seen another apartment that had this quality of closet space. The lights were motion lights, but they weren't working for whatever reason. This could fit all of my clothes and then some. I was so excited about this closet. You guys have no idea. Hardwood flooring throughout. This was a flat that I thought really long and hard about putting an offer in. I'm not gonna lie. The bathroom was tiny. Like, the landlord really made a good use of the space, but this bathroom, like, you couldn't walk in and like the door, I don't know how to describe it, but once you were in the bathroom, you couldn't really open up the door and do a 360. Like, it was a really, really small bathroom. Like, this flat had been newly refurbished, but the actual building itself just felt crazy. Look at that. Look at all the storage. Oh my gosh, you guys, look at this. This is gold. I'm looking at this thinking, like, why didn't you put an offer on this flat? It had a separate kitchen with a window. This kitchen had everything I needed. It had storage. It had a view. Like, why didn't I put an offer on this flat? I'm so confused. But the actual building felt really run down, which was a shame because this flat, I think the landlord had just refurbished it. Move along. I don't know why I'm still in here opening every single cupboard. I almost kind of wish I hadn't filmed in 0.5 though, because I feel like it's making everything look bigger than it was. Like, it wasn't a very generous living room size, but it was fine for just me, and it had a balcony. This is actually probably the best value for money in terms of the flats that I saw. Now this was a flat that I really liked. I kind of went back and forth about putting an offer in on this flat, and again, looking back on it, I'm kind of like, I think I just really liked the standard to which this flat had been finished. It was in West Kensington. It was on the market for $2,400, 2 beds. It was just finished really nicely, and it was really bright. It was really close to the station. I liked everything about the flat, but then the more I sat back and thought about it, I just felt that it was too small in terms of the kitchen space was too small. And also I felt that the surrounding area was not the safest. There was a lot of things going on that just kind of made me feel like I wouldn't potentially feel safe to walk home late at night coming to this flat, but I loved the way it was finished. There was storage everywhere. Like, this was a flat that had been lived in by the landlords. They were just moving to a bigger space. And I also realized in my search that if you can get that sort of property where a landlord's lived in it before you, not a tenant, typically it's finished to a higher standard. So I really like this flat, but I had to be practical.
What was the asking price on this?
So it's on the market at the minute for 2,000, sorry.
So this flat was in West Hampstead, which is in zone 2. I really liked the size of this flat. I thought that it was really well thought out. I liked that it had a separate kitchen. What was it about this flat? Because I felt like this flat pretty much ticked all the boxes. It was bright, it was spacious, it was a little bit run down, in all honesty. I felt like it could do with a little bit of a refresh. But it's interesting. I looked at all these flats a while ago, and the more I looked through the footage, I'm like, I probably could have put an offer on this one. I think it was the blue walls, but I think the agent said that the landlord may potentially change the colors if I asked for it. But I don't know. I think at this point of my search, I was kind of exhausted of looking at flats, because looking at the footage, like, this definitely could have worked for me. If you guys have watched my vlogs, then you will know that this is a flat that I put an offer on. I loved this flat. I mean, I wasn't even going to include it in the video because I still feel away. This had everything that I was looking for. It was spacious, it was bright, it had lovely, massive, ginormous windows, bay windows, a separate kitchen, wooden flooring throughout. Didn't have a lot of storage, but I was happy to look past that because I could fix it. You know, the layout made sense to me. I love this flat so much. Honestly, like, it still hurts that this flat didn't work out. This is definitely going to be like the one that got away. I think it really helps me to see flats completely empty. I think that's one thing I've also learned. When I see a flat or a space in general with tenant stuff in it, it's kind of hard for me to visualize. But this flat had been on the market for ages, and I put an offer in, it was accepted, and then the landlord changed their mind. So if you want to hear more about the story, I'll link the vlog. It's devastating. I love this flat so much, and I was really excited about it, but it didn't work out, so it's fine. You might just be shocked for how much £2,500 gets you. I was shocked because I honestly started off with a much lower budget, and then I started looking online and I realized you're not gonna get anything. So I had to bump that budget up real quick. So in case you guys are wanting to know where I looked, I used 3 websites. I recommend Rightmove, Zoopla, and OpenRent. So Rightmove and Zoopla are pretty much just online websites where agents can advertise their homes. OpenRent is different. OpenRent is a place where only private landlords can list their properties. The cool thing about OpenRent is because you're dealing directly with the landlord and not with an agent, it means that you can usually get slightly better deals. The annoying thing about OpenRent is because you're dealing with the landlord and not an agent, communication can be really spotty on there. Like, the number of times I've reached out, I've seen a place, I've sent the landlord an email right away, and they get back to me like never. It happens very frequently on OpenRent. All of those platforms will let you sign up to alerts, which I highly recommend, and then they'll email you or send your phone notification whenever a matching property comes online. The London rental market, like any major city across the world, is extremely competitive right now. If something came up, I like the look of it, I would call immediately, try and be one of the first people to get a booking in. I was able to see a lot of flats that way. Oh, another thing I did is I actually walked into estate agents in different neighborhoods that I liked and registered my interest. I will say that was probably the least successful use of time because I don't think any agents actually called me. All the agents that ended up calling me called me because I'd seen a listing on Rightmove or Zoopla and I was inquiring about that, and then I gave in my details that way. Once I would register my details, they would keep calling me whenever a flat would come up on the market. That way was not successful because oftentimes agents will show you things even though you've said like it's not what you're looking for. One thing I've learned the hard way: don't leave your home to go see any property that you have not seen pictures for. Ideally, have the agent send you a video. If they have a virtual tour available, that'll work as well, because if you kind of just let these agents take you anywhere and anywhere, they will waste your time. When you go on Rightmove and places like Open Rent, they'll measure the closest distance to a station in a straight line, if that makes sense. So they won't measure it in a way that you can actually walk it or drive it. It'll just measure the distance. So what I started doing, because a lot of platforms would actually list the street name in the listing, I would then go on Google Maps and put in that street name and put in the station that they're claiming is the closest station, and then map it out that way. A couple other places I saw, they had misrepresented what their closest tube station was because they wanted to appear to be in a more desirable area. Like one of the flats one of the flats I showed you guys was actually in Willesden Junction, and they had advertised it as being in Ladbroke Grove, I think, which is just, I would have realized that if I had done the Google Maps search. Bearing all that in mind, it's really important that you know what you can afford. They do have an affordability test that they do, but I've heard very different things. I've had agents tell me that you have to be earning 30 times the monthly rent. If you're employed, it's pretty straightforward. They'll usually just accept an employment contract or pay slips. But if you're self-employed, it's a little bit more complicated. Then they'll want to see things like your tax returns for the past 2 years. And if you, for whatever reason, are not able to provide a form of income, then places will also accept a guarantor. So essentially what a guarantor is a person that is promising that if you default on your rent, they will be held responsible. And they obviously have to be able to show that they have the financial backing to pay for your rent. So they would then have to show that they can meet the financial criteria. And then I also found out that if you don't have anyone in your life that can be a guarantor, there are companies that you can pay to be a guarantor for you. Another tip that I have would be to start looking as early as possible. A lot of the agents have told me that they usually get properties on their books around the 2 to 3 month time frame before the property is ready to go on the market. So if you are hoping to move into somewhere by January, then you want to start looking 3 months before. Another lesson I learned is more a matter of practicality. If you're the sort of person that is looking across various areas like I was, this isn't always possible, but if possible, try and group all of your viewings in a similar area together. Otherwise, you're just hopping from area to area, and it's a very inefficient way, a very exhausting way to go about house viewings. Agents will always tell you that there's a matter of urgency. In my experience, I've realized that you don't need to buy into the hype. I've had agents tell me that, and the property is very much still on the market a week later. Take your time and organize your diary, and you really just kind of have to go out and see places in real life. The more properties you see in real life, you will realize what you are looking for. You'll realize what you like and what you don't like. Like, it's one thing to see pictures online or even to see a video. It's a completely other different thing when you start to go into buildings. Places might look nice online, but then when you get there and see the neighborhood it's in, it's like, oh no. And just try and have fun with it. The search still continues for me, but hopefully I will find my dream home very soon. If you guys found this video useful, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Leave a comment down below and share whatever tips, tricks, your personal experiences that you may have down below. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys in my next one very soon. Stay blessed, stay safe, and take care. Bye.